couple of years ago, I returned from a road trip with a couple of giant plastic totes full of childhood memories. It's time to move them to the basement, but before I do, I wanted to share them with you. In the mid-1990s, there was a whole series of Micro Machines toys based on Star Wars, put out by the company Galoob. And they made everything. B-Wings, Xwings, the Imperial Shuttle, AT-ATs, AT-STs, the whole fleet. Here are the pieces that I still have that have survived to this day. We'll begin with the classic Xwing. Now, each of these ships came with a cool stand that tells you that it is indeed from the Action Fleet line. And the ship sits on this little post for display purposes. And you even had this little slot just above the logo where you could put your figurines, because each ship came with at least one, sometimes more, figurines. For example, in this X-Wing, you get a little figurine of Slook. For example, in this X-Wing, you get a little figurine of Luke Skywalker and R2-D2, the astromech droid, sitting in the back. Now, these Action Fleet toys were also capable of lots of other things besides just looking cool. For example, the X-Wing can be manipulated into the attack position by moving the S-foils, like so. I'm really surprised that these guns are still intact. And we have landing gear that swings out. This one's very loose. And two in the back, which are not loose at all. There we go. So you can land the X-Wing on its landing gear. Now the cockpit comes open and the little figurine of Luke Skywalker can be removed. And here he is in the classic orange flight suit, helmet with yellow things on it. And like I said, we can stick him right there. R2 is stuck. There we go. It's a good thing it's a tight fit, or I might have lost him. Actually, I'm not sure if that's R2-D2, but it's some kind of R2 unit. A lot of detail for such a little thing. And that's all that this thing could do. Landing gear, S-foil movement, a cockpit, and a spot for a droid. But man, this thing looks cool. I remember decorating a bunch of shelves with these things when I was a teenager. A little bit of detail in the cockpit too. If you look to the sides, you can see a bunch of controls and displays and things. That's what I really liked about these. For being inexpensive plastic things, they really had a lot of detail. They also made the Ywing. Yes, this was one of my favorites as well. I just like the way it's put together. The nacelles here, I don't know if that's what they're called, had these cool clear plastic covers on them. And, I don't know, it's just a neat ship. Here you have a gun turret that moves to the left and to the right. A couple of main guns up at the front. Yellow markings for the group color. Another astromech droid in red. The cockpit also opens to reveal a pilot sitting in there. And, just like with the X-Wing, we have stickers on the inside revealing detailed control panels and information displays and, well, basically a bunch of lights. And a really comfy looking seat. Like with the X-Wing, the Y-Wing also has landing gear that articulates outward so that it can come to a smooth landing. Now there's also this hole in the top right here, and I'm actually not sure what that's for. I can't remember if it's for anything. Maybe that's the exhaust port, the weakness. I liked looking at all the little pipes and pumps and doohickeys and mechanics that just kind of adorned the whole thing. What a cool toy. That's the Y-Wing. Might as well round out the Rebel fleet. We have an A-Wing, or I have an A-Wing. Got another one of those hex-shaped hole things here. Wonder if they all have that. I haven't really noticed. Anyway, this A-Wing is missing its pilot. But that's okay. We see some of the same lights and sensors and things on the inside. Another comfy chair. I like the cockpit on this one. It's just very wide view. And of course, we got landing gear. Like so. Yeah, cool stuff. And the guns on the sides articulate. This one's a little bit bent. Now this one's got some discoloration to it, some yellowing on the top side. You can see on the bottom side it's a little brighter. But yeah, it's common with plastic things. You can do that peroxide treatment to get rid of that if you wanted to. And we got some neat looking armor plates, I suppose, on the top. And on the bottom, lots of cool little mechanisms, gizmos, rotors, and actuators and whatnot. And that's about all. The A-Wing was, a little more boring compared to the other ones. Can't do much with it, but I love the way it looks. And it's got blue marks on it for the blue group. Now, they also made a B-Wing. I never had that one, unfortunately, but that would have been nice. It would have rounded out the whole collection, really, for the Rebel fleet. They had a snowspeeder, too. Don't have that one either. Oh, well. Moving to the dark side, we've got Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. This one is really cool. It just looks the part. You got the knurled black paneling, the bent wings, that classic cockpit look. Somewhere I got no, never mind, it's right here. Darth Vader's in there. So here's the little Vader figurine with his cape, with his long flowing cape. I wonder if he can take a helmet off. Nope, they didn't go that far. The arms articulate together, but hilariously they just kind of move together. Like, hooray! So we'll just drop Darth Vader back down into the cockpit there. No landing gear, no articulation. This was literally like, well, we gotta have Vader's TIE Fighter, right? But there is one cool thing you can do with this thing. You can slide this piece back to reveal something. I guess this is the inner workings of the twin ion engine, maybe? Oh, there's one of those hex hole things, too. No idea what those are for. But at least there's something you can do with this. They also made a TIE Bomber, which I thought that I had, but I can't find it. Maybe I will. And they might have made a TIE Interceptor as well as the classic TIE Fighter. This is the only one I could find at the moment. One of the coolest in the collection, in my opinion, Boba Fett's Slave 2 ship. This one just is a very cool thing just to look at, just to have on display. It's got that kind of battle damaged-ish looking patina. The side wing things here articulate. The guns on the front articulate. And if you can get the cockpit open, if you can get the window open, inside you'll find a little figurine of Boba Fett. One of the better painted pieces, in my opinion. It's got that unmistakable armor, helmet, the jetpack with the rocket thing in the back, and a blaster. They did a really good job on this one. More detail on the inside, too. Bunch of lights, panels, and a cool-looking throne-like chair. Go get 'em, Fett. Hey, you know what? There's one of the hexagonal holes here, too. What is that? I never noticed them as a kid, but they're on each ship. That's interesting. The only downside I can see to this piece is that the place where you can stick it onto the stand, puts it like that. So you don't really know what it is looking at it from head on. It really should have been mounted in the vertical position, in my opinion. But the coolest feature of this ship is hidden underneath. So in the back you have all these, again, cool looking mechanical parts, but underneath this front trunk, there's a little hidden compartment right there. Now, I always remembered it being very difficult to get it open, so I'm going to pry it a little. So this little hatch comes down, and you have a little tiny Han Solo frozen in carbonite. Right down to the last detail. You can even see his little feet sticking out. It's so funny. And there's more. This little box is hinged. And on the inside, you have a figurine of Han Solo in that position when he was frozen in carbonite. Oh man, for this little thing alone, it's worth getting the sleeve too. Now the very last piece I have in my collection is one of my favorites. It's a sand crawler. They made the whole friggin' thing. So it doesn't come with a stand, but it doesn't need one. This thing is so cool, so much detail. I mean, it's only in the movie for like 10 minutes, but so iconic. It's got little rolly wheels on the bottom, all that industrial looking stuff on the back. And on the side, there is a hatch that can be opened to reveal a bunch of droids in like an assembly line kind of thing. And this little slider lets you move them forward. Maybe. It's a little jammed. Oh, you know what? That's probably because you need to open the front too. So yeah, the front hatch opens, this little ramp comes down, and that's what that slider does. It reveals all of the Jawa's merchandise. And here you get the Action Fleet logo, and standing right here is one of the droids. No detail on any of the other droids that are sitting here, but you can kind of recognize some of them from the movie. That huge looking one right there. They got an R2 unit here. Not much going on the inside, just a bunch of R2 units. I figured I was expecting to see the garbage can droid, but nope. Still, this is a really cool thing. And there's more. There's another hatch right here on the very top, which you open to reveal the cockpit. You got control panels, lights, sensors. Looks like some kind of a bridge, basically. A couple of seats. I can't remember if it actually came with a little Jawa or not. It would make sense if it did. Either I lost it or I gotta dig a little more to find it. And that's everything that the Sandcrawler has to offer. One of the neater ones, in my opinion. Not a spaceship, but very fun. Well, those are all the ones that I had found from my childhood collection. And I was also pleased to find that I have the little Sandcrawler to go with its bigger brother. There's no hatches or switches or anything with this one because this was the Micro Machines version, which just kind of rolls around. But the neat thing is that it's a replica, and it's tiny, truly in the style of Micro Machines, because they made a whole series around this size as well. I will make that video next.